Hey, 127 students, a little video for you about making the transition to make sure you have a good persuasive presentation and you get it done very quickly. I want to review the assignment with you. You've had your idea. If you didn't get your topic to me yet, you're way behind. You better get it to me immediately. But you've got your topic. Hopefully you've done a little thought about it, maybe done a little planning, maybe done a little research. Do remember that this is definitely a bigger presentation, 5 to 8 minutes. So we're expecting a minimum of 6 sources to verbalize those sources and have lots of information from each one. That's something that's definitely longer. Yes, we already are past the topic chosen stage. You may present Tuesday for extra credit. I encourage you to try to do that if you're able to get it out of the way. On the other hand, otherwise it is due on Thursday. Next week. We're talking about the last week of classes, as is described in your handout, right? Yes, and there is a full set of presentation paperwork required to be put on Brightspace, similar in some ways to what you had for the informative presentation. In going through the paperwork, you'll start to see the structure that I'm looking for, and hopefully you can prepare that and make that a good transition from the paperwork, from the presentation outline to the speaking outline or the cards, right? You had created or should have a specific purpose statement, an SPS, and a central thesis for the topic. I probably gave you feedback on those. You may have to edit those. Those should begin your paperwork, your outline. Then we move right into the introduction. I am suggesting in this handout, in this assignment, that you use Monroe's motivated sequence as opposed to informational like structure and main ideas. And for that, still we want to have an attention step, right? Which we begin our introduction with. You want at least 2 attention-getting devices, and you should label them in your paperwork, in your presentation outline. And I should definitely hear 2 attention-getting devices as you begin your introduction. Then, in the case of the introduction, you build to the specific problem, right? We should always want to be addressing the problem that we're trying to solve. And then you're ready for your signposted preview statement. It might be, first we'll explain how this thing is a serious problem, then we'll consider these 3 major causes, and then we'll look at all these 5 different possible solutions and the things that you can do, then finally the things you can do to make these solutions happen. That sort of thing, right? Because we're definitely going to suggest that your body should follow a proper visual format, Roman numerals for main ideas, capital letters for subpoints, and numbers for sub-subpoints. Use indenting. Sources, each main idea must have at least 2 sources. So that's where we get to the 6 minimum. You may certainly, and it'd be nice to also have a source in your introduction, not quite as required here, because the need step is not in the introduction now. Directly credit and qualify the sources. Only a few of you have been doing this. You have to make sure the sources get verbalized. Yes, most of you have been doing that in your presentations, but then you should say something else about them. You should qualify them. You should add credentials for them. And you should verbalize those things. You need to say those things. So those things are written down directly on your index cards. But of course, most everything else is just written in bullet points that you refer to. But you may read those right off your cards for the sources. And remember, you need at least 2 bits of information to qualify each. Ideally, you have 2 bits of information about the source in addition to what the source is. And don't just give us a URL. Your bibliography is somewhat different. You don't just read a bibliography, right? But this paperwork needs to have a bibliography, and you should be using the format I've recommended a number of times, and many of you are using the APA format, and you can find it in your book, and you've had a handout on it too. You should make sure the source and information are in your outline here, and then in your index cards, your speaking outline too. And then there's example outlines in your textbook. Main ideas would be the need step. Tell us why this problem, and we need at least two sources for this. What is the problem? What makes it serious? How is it relevant? This step also might include analysis of the causes. or maybe that's its own main idea, especially if you're doing a problem cause solution as opposed to just problem solution. Satisfaction step, you're going to say these are the solutions, okay? These are the things that will fix this problem. Good. What's the plan? Have sources, maybe examples of how this could work or has worked other places. Visualization step. Now you're going to get us to really imagine the solution. It's possible there won't be sources for the visualization step. There could be, but it's possible there won't be. Is it its own main idea? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's a transition. But do put some visualization in there. And then the action step, of course, this is a big one. This is what do you want us to do? And then you're going to give us sources for that also. And you might give us a variety of possible actions for people of different amounts of commitment, perhaps. Conclusion, make sure you have a good pause, make sure you have transitions between these main ideas. We can talk about a double pause before your conclusion. You signal the end by referring back to the beginning, reinforce the content, have a strong clincher at the end. And that would be it. So hopefully walk us through the reasoning of all this too. Remember, now you're not just giving us information, you are persuading us. And then the bibliography, of course. And then the delivery, you convert your presentation outline to your speaking outline, and you have to practice it as usual. Extra practice will get you extra credit too. And a third way to get extra credit. So you get extra credit by going on Tuesday, extra credit by extra practice, extra credit by at least if one source is an interview, okay, that you verbalize that you talk to this person directly. And then if you're going to do that, I want you to include here a brief transcript of the key points of the conversation, including direct quotations, 2 if possible, if you're going to go for the extra credit too. So that is the assignment. Not a surprise, we've gone over this before, but I want to make sure it was fresh in your mind as this is coming up to us. And also you could take a look at your rubric, which you need to bring to your practice, right, to see the sorts of things I will be looking for. It's no big surprises here though, but do remember the paperwork. And this time, I'm not going to let you hand the paperwork in a week late or something. I'm going to say the very latest the paperwork can be in to be counted would be at the time of the final exam, which is not an exam at all, right? Which is Monday at 7 o'clock of finals week. All right. Hey, send me any questions or problems or anything, but otherwise I will see you on Tuesday when we have the first round of these persuasive presentations. And of course, I'll also see you for our exam 3 if you're watching this before that.